February 25, 1942, 3:16 a.m. Los Angeles, California. Sirens wailing. The city was already terrified before the first shot was fired. Only months earlier, Pearl Harbor had shattered America's sense of safety. War no longer felt distant. It no longer belonged to Europe or the Pacific Ocean. Suddenly, it felt close enough to touch. And on that cold February night, Los Angeles believed the war had finally arrived at its doorstep. Without warning, air raid sirens screamed across the sleeping city. Families jolted awake. Windows opened. People rushed toward rooftops and sidewalks trying to understand what was happening. Then the lights disappeared. One by one, streetlights vanished. Homes went dark. Entire neighborhoods were swallowed by blackout silence. Radio static. Searchlights suddenly ignited across the sky, sweeping violently through the darkness above Los Angeles. Hunting something. Military radar operators had reportedly detected an unidentified object approaching the California coastline from the Pacific Ocean. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew whether enemy bombers were already overhead. Then came the explosions. Distant artillery blast. The anti-aircraft batteries opened fire. One shell after another ripped through the night sky. Then dozens. Then hundreds. The explosions echoed across the city like thunder. Windows rattled. Dogs, children screamed. And for nearly an hour, the United States military fired thousands of rounds into the darkness at something nobody could clearly identify. Some witnesses claimed they saw aircraft moving overhead. Others described a massive glowing object suspended in the searchlights. And some swore there was nothing there at all. But when the smoke finally cleared, there were no crashed planes, no wreckage, no captured pilots, no official explanation that completely made sense. And more than 80 years later, the same chilling question still remains. What exactly did Los Angeles fire at that night? Low ominous ambience. To understand why the city panicked so violently, you have to understand America in early 1942. The country was traumatized. Pearl Harbor had changed everything. Before December 7th, many Americans believed the oceans protected them. War was something happening somewhere else, something far away. But after the Japanese attack on Hawaii, that illusion died overnight. Fear spread across the West Coast like wildfire. People began expecting another attack at any moment. Rumors flooded California constantly. Enemy submarines were supposedly lurking offshore. Japanese spies were hiding inside American cities. Signal lights were being flashed from hillsides toward the ocean. Some rumors were nonsense. Others turned out to be disturbingly real. Only weeks before the mysterious events in Los Angeles, a Japanese submarine had surfaced near the California coast and shelled an oil facility close to Santa Barbara. The physical damage was minor. Psychologically, it was devastating, because suddenly Americans realized the enemy could reach them. And if a submarine could attack California, what else could? Blackout drills became common across the West Coast. Air raid wardens patrolled neighborhoods at night. Families covered windows with blankets to prevent light from escaping. Children practiced emergency procedures at school. People slept beside radios waiting for breaking news. Every sound in the darkness became suspicious. An airplane engine. A distant ship horn. Even thunder. Nobody trusted the silence anymore. Searchlights sweeping the sky. Los Angeles was one of the most important cities in America's war effort. Aircraft factories operated day and night. Military bases surrounded the region. Shipyards worked non-stop. If Japan wanted to strike the mainland again, Los Angeles would be an obvious target. And everyone knew it. Then came the night of February 24, 1942. Something about the atmosphere already felt wrong. Heavy. Uneasy. Earlier that evening, military intelligence warned that another possible attack on the West Coast might be imminent. Nobody knew whether the warning was credible. But after Pearl Harbor, nobody wanted to ignore a threat again. Anti-aircraft crews were placed on alert. Searchlight operators prepared their stations. Radar teams monitored the skies above the Pacific. Meanwhile, civilians unknowingly went to sleep beneath one of the strangest nights in American history. Just after midnight, sirens suddenly echoed through Los Angeles County. Sirens intensify. People woke in confusion. Some rushed toward windows. Others ran outside. Many believed Japanese bombers were already approaching the city. But strangely, nothing appeared. For a while, Los Angeles remained tense but quiet. Then reports began flooding in. Military radar operators detected an unidentified object approaching from the Pacific Ocean roughly 120 miles west of the city. Radar technology in 1942 was primitive and unreliable. False signals happened frequently. But according to reports, the object continued moving inland. Slowly. Steadily. Deliberately. Military commanders faced an impossible decision. If the contact was real and they ignored it, Los Angeles could suffer another Pearl Harbor. But if the contact was false, opening fire over one of America's largest cities could create chaos. Then sometime after 2 a.m., the blackout began. The entire city went dark. Streetlights vanished instantly. Homes disappeared into shadow. The glowing streets of Los Angeles transformed into a black void beneath the night sky. And that was when people started looking upward. Distant rumbling. Witnesses across the city described seeing strange lights overhead. Some claimed they saw aircraft formations moving through the darkness. Others described glowing objects drifting silently across the sky. Some reported red flares, others saw absolutely nothing at all. That uncertainty became one of the most terrifying parts of the entire event. Nobody knew what was real anymore. Civilians stood frozen on rooftops and sidewalks while anti-aircraft crews waited for orders. Searchlights swept slowly through the clouds. Back and forth. Back and forth. Trying desperately to confirm whether the threat was real. Then suddenly, the guns opened fire. Distant explosions. Massive anti-aircraft shells exploded above Los Angeles. Boom after boom after boom. The city transformed into a battlefield within seconds. Thousands of artillery rounds blasted into the darkness while searchlights converged toward a single point overhead. Smoke filled the sky. Explosions illuminated the clouds. For civilians watching below, it looked apocalyptic. Newspaper photographers captured surreal images of beams of light crossing through smoke while artillery erupted across the night sky. Some witnesses later insisted they could clearly see enemy planes above the city. Others claimed there was only one object. A massive glowing craft suspended motionless in the searchlights. Several described it as enormous, far larger than any conventional aircraft. Some claimed the object moved slowly while shells exploded around it harmlessly. Others said it simply hovered there untouched. And then there were witnesses who saw nothing at all. Only smoke. Only explosions. Only fear. That contradiction would haunt the mystery forever. Because if enemy aircraft truly attacked Los Angeles that night, where was the evidence? Why couldn't anyone agree on what they saw? And how could thousands of anti-aircraft rounds fail to bring the target down? Radio chatter. Military crews continued firing relentlessly. Shrapnel rained back down onto the city below. Buildings were damaged. Cars were destroyed. Fragments smashed through rooftops and windows. Some civilians reportedly suffered heart attacks from fear alone. Others were injured by falling debris. Ironically, most of the damage that night came not from an enemy attack, but from America firing at itself. And still, whatever the military was targeting remained in the sky. At one point, witnesses described searchlights locking directly onto a strange object overhead. Motionless. Silent. untouched by explosions. The image became unforgettable. Even decades later, surviving witnesses insisted something was up there. Something real. Something the military could not stop. Soft eerie ambience. But fear changes perception. Especially during war. As smoke clouds filled the sky and artillery flashes illuminated the darkness, visibility became chaotic. Searchlights reflected off smoke and haze creating strange illusions. Explosions distorted depth perception. Shadows moved unnaturally, and in moments of panic, the human brain desperately tries to create meaning from confusion. That's what makes the Battle of Los Angeles so disturbing. Every explanation feels possible. And the witnesses are gone now. The soldiers who fired into the sky, the civilians watching from rooftops, the children awakened by sirens and explosions, most of them took the truth with them. And after more than 80 years, the Battle of Los Angeles still has no clear answer. No wreckage. No confirmed enemy aircraft. Only conflicting stories, and one haunting photograph frozen in time. Maybe it was mass hysteria. A terrified nation firing at shadows in the darkness after Pearl Harbor. Or maybe something truly unknown entered the skies above California that night. Something detected on radar. Something illuminated by searchlights. Something thousands of artillery rounds couldn't bring down. Distant wind. Because somewhere between fear and reality, something happened over Los Angeles. And maybe the most terrifying part is this: for 1 hour in 1942, America fired into the sky at something nobody could explain. And even today, we still don't know what was staring back.